Space Monkeys!
Hello everyone! Welcome,
Hello, everyone.
welcome to our very first stream. This is a live stream for the Space Monkey programs, and we want to get to the heart of the stuff we're going to talk to you about. But first, quick introductions. This is Guillaume. This is our senior producer.
Hey everyone!
Does lots of other things as well, including surfing and boarding. And this is Michel. He's our Space Monkey in chief, n'est-ce pas? Creative director of Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Hi everyone!
And over in the corner, Kevin Irwin, who is our community developer, and he's going to be running the show for us today.
And this is Gabriel Traeger, our senior story developer and storyteller.
Thank you. Take it away.
So welcome, Space Monkeys. This is the first time that we actually get the opportunity to talk to you direct. And for those of you who don't know what the Space Monkey program is, I invite you to go to bggame.com, and there you'll see all the things that have been happening while we've been doing, oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better.
Okay, so let's get going here. So what exactly is the Space Monkey program? The tagline that tells it all is basically participate, inspire, play. So what does that mean?
Yeah, I think participate is key. It's quite an experience for us. It's the first time we want to have a connection with the fans, the one who love the game. They're not. They don't need to be developers. They just need to love games, to maybe have knowledge about the world of Beyond Good and Evil. Or no, it's not a problem. It's open to everybody. And the big thing is that first participation today is sharing ideas, discussing subjects, something we will present today. But we want to go way beyond that. And this is part of the things we will expose and present later.
So since we're celebrating the first 6-month anniversary, if that exists, of the Space Monkey program.
It does.
It does?
Let's say it does.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy anniversary. So 6 months in, we want to talk about Inspire. And this is one of the things that you guys have been doing for us and giving and giving. So we're going to talk a lot about what you've contributed and the way that you've inspired us as we go through this first Space Monkey live Twitch report.
And the last pillar of this program is play, and that's something that we are really committed, and we want this to happen, is to give you Space Monkeys access to part of the game very early so that you can give us feedback on what we do.
So who are our Space Monkeys? Well, there's a few little stats. There's about 80,000 of you. So yeah, good job signing up. And speaking of signing up, our first Space Monkey ever was Creed Lowell, located in France, of course.
Hi, Creed!
Hey! Bravo!
Thank you for following us from the beginning.
Yeah, first one. And our top 5 countries are US, UK, France, Russia, and Germany.
What about the little guys?
And then there are 16 countries where there is one Space Monkey. So
keep up the good work,
you're all over
guys.
the world, and
That's
some
right.
of you you're the representatives for your country for Space Monkeys. So some of them are. So those of you in Cape Verde, Dominica, Lesotho, Mozambique, all these 16 countries, you're the sole representative of Space Monkeys. So thank you.
Well,
Bravo!
Bravo! And the thing is, very easy for them to double, the size of the community in this country. So that's
Exactly.
That's
Absolutely.
So we wanted to know a little bit more about the Space Monkeys, who the Space Monkeys are. So we sent out a survey to you guys back in September, October, and we got a huge amount of response. So thank you so much for participating. It really means a lot to us. It shows that you're passionate and engaged. We had a very good participation rate, and you guys are very verbose, which is good. We have lots and lots of free-form comments that we're still going through, pages and pages of. But just kind of give you an idea of who your fellow Space Monkeys are. What do Space Monkeys like? Well, what do they like? First of all, half of them really like BGE and have finished the first Beyond Good and Evil more than 2 times.
Woo,
So that's,
awesome.
that's a pretty cool achievement. You guys
4
like
fans.
overwhelmingly RPG and open world games, also action adventure. And what do you like most about the world of Beyond Good and Evil? Well, it's its world, lore, story, and characters.
All right. Story.
And so what do you guys expect from the Space Monkey program? Getting more detailed information, which this is our Space Monkey report that's happening right now, is part of giving you more information, but also our bggame.com blog, where we've been cranking out content for you guys to get your feedback on. And also get news about world building, what's going on with the team, and early access to the game, which will be happening. And yeah, that's pretty much the tour of our Space Monkeys.
Yeah, and something that I want to add about the Space Monkey program on the website, I really want to point out to everyone that everybody on the team, they're outside of this room here, actually making the game. They are reading through that website. They are posting the questions, so don't hesitate. It's a way for you, Space Monkeys, to get close to everybody on the team.
Yes, and thank you to all the team for posting the questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we already have our shout out to the Space Monkeys. We're going to have a live Q&A at the end. So if you'd like to ask your question, please write it in the chat or hashtag AskBGE2 or simply hashtag BGE2. And so speaking of asking questions, one of the first questions we asked the Space Monkeys was, can you find the Easter eggs in the E3 announcement trailer? So let's take a look and see. We got a lot of people who found quite all of them. Some of them that we were like, oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good Easter egg.
Exactly.
And down to the Chinese characters written barely on the wall, like very detailed. So it was really cool to see that and see the fans. It was special for us. So let's take a look at all of those Easter eggs.
Where's your master? I don't deal with domesticated.
Hey, the fuck? I ain't got no master, but I do have your little toy.
Show me the idol. Show me the Redeemer.
Here you go, mate.
Hey, G.
Yo, yo. Yo, hand it over. I got a hot date who don't do late.
Monkey's got a date.
Mwah.
What? What?
What? That's Swiss fucking chocolate, pig. Bon appetito.
I want every fucking cop in this fucking city after that fucking bastard!
Grab my chassis, Noxie!
Easy, bro. Bang, bang, motherfuckers! Fuck me.
Damn!
It's about bloody time. Let's see what we've got. discredit. True freedom lies beyond.
We're back.
We're back.
Yeah, so we had all of those references in there. I hope you guys enjoyed even the ones that were kind of hidden. So how did we get from Beyond Good and Evil, the first game, to Beyond Good and Evil 2?
The connection between the two games is very important. Of course, it's the same world. It does not look as cartoon as the first game, but it's not very important. In fact, the technology, everything has evolved, and because we want to give this feeling of immersion and traveling, we went to something a bit more mature. But the characters, the story, the time frame is really the same. So you will recognize a lot of things. You will discover the past of the main characters you loved in Beyond Good and Evil 1. But you don't need to be...
Who are those main characters?
Yeah, you don't need to be... to have played, it's not necessary to play Beyond Good and Evil 1, even if it's still very
you
good.
Should play it though.
But yeah, but we wanted to like restart and retell the story, the origin of the world, the origins of those characters, and then so yeah, that's the whole idea. But you will recognize a lot of things.
And I don't know if you guys recognized in the trailer at the end, we are in the Gada, the player's mothership, and if you take a look around,
Here we are.
we're in the Gada.
We're inside.
We even have Nox here.
Exactly.
with
We're on the
us, like-
bridge.
Yeah, and we can even start the engines and with incredible special effects.
You did it, Michel. You did it.
Yeah.
Wow, special effects.
So.
Went all out with that, guys.
And the idea being on the command deck is that all of these little objects that we see around us are things that, as players, as we're journeying through the world of Beyond Good and Evil from planet to planet, different civilizations, different discoveries, different mysteries, that will collect all these unique objects. And now that we can't see them anymore because of the smoke.
Gab, is that you?
It's interesting with the set. You can see here around us the characters. There is something coherent. We wanted to create a world that would connect with our world, with the real world.
Which was our first Devs Ask, which
Yeah.
Guillaume had asked the community for inspiration about. So, what would you bring with you to from Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your
Yeah.
Devs Ask?
Yeah. Something that it was not only myself, right? It's really a team thing that we like to discuss together. What would we bring like so far away from Earth? So these, you see, people got back to us with very, very interesting stuff. And actually, I see that some guys say that they would bring their skateboards. Well, actually, that's exactly what I would bring myself. I don't know if you can see it. That's what I would bring to Earth, not to Earth, from Earth. I mean.
Yep.
So yeah, it's we want the players to feel connected with reality. But since it's going to be very, very far from where we stand, we ask you guys, what would you take with you? So video games. I really liked one of the answers was I would like to bring every pieces of music on a single M disk. So that was a great answer, I think.
Yeah, and there's also a really lots of people said plants, and I think that was a thought for maybe what's going on our planet today in the ecosystem, and that some of them thought that it would be really important to bring plants and seeds and be able to grow those in the new world of Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, but also decent coffee machine.
Yeah, the most important. Some said French press, but I'm not sure that everyone.
But yeah,
You got to have good coffee on the go.
to make things very, very clear, all these ideas are not things that we came up with. It's your input in our inspiration. That's the inspiration part of the Space
Exactly,
Monkey program.
and that shows that we're all on the same wavelength. Lots of people also had thoughts for their family, and there were souvenirs of what life was like back on Earth.
Yeah, and again, it's a real pillar of how we build this world. You know, when you create a big space opera game, but more than a game, it's a world. You need a structure. You need inspiration, and you also need rules. And this is one key rule, like this idea of taking the old souvenir, the old, your important objects, people, traditions, religion, whatever, recipe, coffee machine, and this is creating this link to the future. So the first draft of the spaceship was like more metal, plastic, lights, the things you have in many science fiction movies. But then quickly, just with this little idea of bringing something from your past, your ancestors, it built a new world. And the cities now that we are building in Beyond Good and Evil, they are using this. And with the Space Monkeys, we discussed a lot, and we're already discussing a lot, because it's creating a connection with them, because it's today, what would you bring there, and how would you imagine religion and many cultural things traveling across the
pretty much anyone can participate and contribute to that conversation.
That's something that's very important for us as far as the program is concerned. Is we, as you said in the beginning of the Twitch, Kevin, we have Space Monkeys everywhere in the world, and we want inspiration from everywhere in the world. That's very important for us.
And we'll talk a lot more about that, I think, when we get to the Ganesha Inspiration section a little bit further on in the report.
Yeah, so speaking of inspiration and the Gada and pirates, our second Dev Ask was, we asked the Space Monkeys, what kind of pirate would you want to be?
I think we've got a little image of, there we go. So these are, again, the suggestions that, all the ideas that you guys had and suggested. And so everyone has to realize there were hundreds and hundreds of posts. And so we just sort of analyzed the number and tried.
It's a job just to read them.
Yeah, it's true. But there are lots of, so we sort of honed it down to a couple of the most significant answers that people seem to come back to. There was this notion that one of the most important notions, and everyone seemed to agree on it, was the importance of freedom. Pirate, that's really their rock anthem. They want to be free, and everyone was really interested in the idea of being able to play who they want to be, who they are, whether they consider themselves the evil, psychopathic, bloodthirsty pirate, or the or on the complete opposite end of the scale. Some people talked about being a knight in shining armor. That's definitely Michel.
I also like the stick it to the man thing.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a good number of people that that thought it was important that even though they were pirates and free, that some of them could stand for things that were bigger than themselves and maybe defend some of the hybrids that might be slaves in this world. Others just wanted to explore the whole universe and be treasure hunters, as opposed to some wanted to board vessels and they were obsessed with that. Discovering the unknown was an incredibly important theme from the Space Monkeys' point of view. And we love this idea that the pirates are neither good nor evil, which really ties into the whole notion of beyond good and evil.
Yeah. We really choose the pirates for this main reason, because they represent freedom for within the story we are telling, but also freedom for the player. And I know that, and that's part of the Space Monkey program, the discussions. We have seen debates about, but is there still a story? Because if I can build my story, it's a kind of generated thing, and people sometimes were afraid, the Space Monkeys, you were afraid that you would not retrieve, this feeling of living a story, strong story, because maybe if there is too much freedom, then it's chaos and you don't have story. And it's our job with you, with your comments, to create a game where you have a story with strong characters, with traveling, adventure, unique places, not generated stuff, not mathematical or procedural stuff, but real, places with an history and characters.
Contact.
So this is things people will share. But the way they will navigate through this world, through this story, can change, can be different depending on your choice. Not just your choices, but the kind of spaceship you will customize, the kind of crew you will have, the kind of actions you will have into the world. But again, the big world, the big cities, the history of the world, and the secrets of that world. This is something that is part of the big story of Beyond Good and Evil. So it's a mix between a real story that you could have in many adventure games, and this freedom, and which is more about how you evolve into this game.
How to live through this story. Yes.
So speaking of big, you mentioned big cities, action adventure. One of the first blog posts we did for the Space Monkey program, and the first area that we wanted to get feedback on in terms of inspiration for world building was Ganesha City. I don't know, Gab, if you want to talk a little bit about. We got a lot with links and to videos and websites.
Yeah, the subject was more what are the cultural, inspirations, not just Ganesha, but also different cultures. That's Space Monkey, because you are in different countries. You can contribute with the point of view of your country and influence the development, yet giving ideas that we couldn't imagine because we are just from one culture, one point of view.
And what was really interesting, Michel, because you mentioned that people will give us inspiration from their own homelands, but there were also lots of people that said where they would like to visit. Yeah. So they send us links of gorgeous places all over the world that you guys can all check out. And also inspirations of different civilizations that they don't know about, or dead or extinct civilizations. There were people talked about the Sumerians, they talked about Egyptians, they talk about more modern civilizations, steppe civilizations, all these different things. And these are just a few of the ones that we really picked out to show how your inspirations are directly inspiring us. So we did a couple tests on hybrid gods, because a lot of you had ideas for hybrid gods, and one of them was Hathor, who is the mother of the Egyptian gods, and she is the god of cows, but also the god of fertility and motherhood.
Yeah, and again, this is the movement we want to have. Like we suggest there is a question, there is a theme, you suggest content, and then we talk about those subjects with the concept artists, and then there is this interaction. And it's very interesting to see it with this kind of concept art.
Yeah, so we've got a couple.
This one.
So yeah, this is the example of one of the concept arts that we worked on, inspired by this Egyptian cow goddess, and you can also see the influence of the sacred cow from the Hindu tradition. So it's a mix of different cultures, and she's also a female. You can barely see it. But that's one of the examples. Really, hey, you can see it now.
Can see.
You can almost see it.
Yeah, and really, I want to be very bold about this, but this concept art was really inspired by the discussion we are having with you on the program, on the website. So so this is for us the most concrete way of telling you, well, we are collaborating together. This cow is there because we discussed about it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, later you will see, today we're gonna present you how we can mix DNA from different creatures to create this kind of character, the one you just see in the concept art. So it's not just concept art; it's something that can be in the game. This is something we're gonna show you.
Yeah, exactly. There's
watch the video?
There were a couple of environments also. One of a lot of people were really interested to see underwater environments. They wanted to see civilizations. Lost civilizations deep under the sea. So again, these are all tests. You know, we don't technically know if they're going to be in the final game, but in the meantime, everything's open because we're looking to see what kind of inspirations you can feed us. And so we're spreading the love, talking about the concept artists, and that's an example of something that we did inspired by all of the suggestions about undersea civilizations. There's another, I think, of pirate lairs. Lots of people talked about pirate lairs, which of course fits the theme. And I think we're going to see, so this is an example of something that might be an outpost for pirates, a place that they could hang out and that no one would really dare to attack because they've got a lot of ways to protect themselves.
The way we see this kind of thing, it's like a space Tortuga island or stuff like this. One thing that we repeat to the team is okay, we're embracing the pirate fantasy, right? We want to be a pirate, and we say, well, it's a space pirate, so everything really that a pirate can do, you put space in front of it, and then we do it in the game.
Space tequila.
Yeah, for example.
Space Tortuga.
Or space boarding, or space
Was
treasure.
there? I think we had one more concept art to show.
This one.
Oh yeah, so this is really cool because a couple of the people, a couple of the space monkeys talked to us about Inuits, and others said hybrid walruses. So one of our concept artists did this, mixing the two. So if you look really closely, all of the markings are actual true scarifications that come from Inuit.
Zoom into
you can zoom a little bit more. And he's actually got an Inuit necklace on, the jewelry, everything. We try to be really accurate in terms of the influences. So once again, that's a walrus, an Inuit hybrid walrus inspired by a couple of the posts on the SNP.
Say that 20 times fast.
What? Hybrid walrus? Inuit hybrid walrus.
Okay. Good job. Speaking of hybrids, that's a really hot topic that the Space Monkeys really can't get enough of. We've done quite a few different blog posts, just kind of throwing out the concept art. And then the last blog post that we did was about hybrid exploitation, which was discrimination and exploitation, and just kind of the darker side of hybrids and Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, because the Space Monkey program is not just about story or even making the game. It's also discussion about the theme. Why are we making that game? And we had interesting feedbacks. For example, for the hybrid, we said, okay, our world is based on hybrid. They are used as slaves. They can be a product, they can be sold. So they are like a mix between object and real creatures. And some people on the Space Monkey website, some people from the community, they said, but you don't need the future for that. This is actually today. This is happening. You have like those chicken or pigs or whatever. They are like
super
products,
overexploited.
So it's not really us trying to talk about this and that subject. It's also feedback from the community about, yes, this is something you have in your game. This is something you have. But it's already happening in our world, and the discussions are very interesting and very intense. And people, they agree, so they don't really agree. But it's always about sharing ideas and more than everything, thinking about what's important. When you're playing a game, you can do a good score, you can evolve, have XP and things like that, but the experience, what you get at the end, is very important. So this kind of theme, about what's happening in the world, the reason for this and that is very interesting.
Yeah, we had a bunch of people from South Africa talk to us, of course, about apartheid, which they've lived every day. So again, this connection that we want to make sure that Oh, there we go. Whee!
The Gata is falling apart.
It's okay.
You're fine. We're fine.
We have, the engine is broken.
More smoke.
I don't know who said the special effects, but...
So it was a bit off screen, but a big statue just fell behind.
The Nox
somewhere.
is okay, though. Nox is cool.
No, that's okay. But yeah, there are some subjects we can't talk about. Then suddenly, bad spirits are appearing in the room.
Seriously.
But in any case, you saw there are a lot of the key themes that have inspired a number of concept arts also, and ideas that we're working on. A couple cool ones, a couple scary ones, like the idea that there's a couple of the Space Monkeys talked about hunting, having rich corporate hunting expeditions, as if we were going to go to Africa and hunt for rhinos and bring their horns back. So that was something that we thought was a frightening concept. Doing psychological experiments with them, creating entire hybrids, specialized armies, all these different ideas we're working on to integrate them into the world.
Yeah. So what we can say is thanks a lot for you to share all that thought with us. Yeah. Now we have something to share about the hybrids.
Yes.
And the characters, actually.
Michel alluded to it about the DNA of the hybrid characters.
Yeah. It's the project is a big technical challenge. When we are making such a game, you've got nice concept art, nice discussions, but you need to make it. You need to make the game, and here we wanted to show you where we are on the character creation part.
A little video for you guys.
So what you just have seen here is very important for us. It's a big achievement for the team. One of the big challenges we have is to create a world with many characters, but not just a human with a red hat and pink shoes or something like that. No, it's about characters that are really
or a shiny,
different.
glittery.
I like pink shoes.
Yeah. yeah, of course. But more than everything, you see the system here is not just mixing male, female, muscle, thin. It's also mixing the species, which is unique. It's a new thing. It's this ability to transform, to modify with DNA, pieces of DNA that creates a unique character. So it's very emotional for us, because now when we are working on a character for concept art, for a video, for a game, we are thinking about his origins. What was his parents, where he came from, and it's creating this unique character, unique voice, unique story, history, and this is very interesting. So this is, of course, to create the character of different characters in the game. This could be used for character creation on the player side. This is still open, but we wanted to share that with you. The fact that this is real. This is a real piece of technology that I've myself never seen in any game. Even in the movie industry, I'm not sure they're using such a powerful tool.
Right. And the thing that's mind-blowing even is that, so it's the same basis, right? We transform from a shark to a pig.
There is a message.
There is a message maybe behind this.
Yeah, we all come from the same shape.
We're all made of stardust. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
So the other really cool thing about it is that so you might think of these characters that seem generic, but the whole idea that each of these characters that are actually going to exist in the world will have their own stories. They're not just going to be basic NPCs with lame barks.
And they will have clothes.
And they will no.
No.
You didn't just say that. Beep.
Pink shoes.
Yeah, but so even though they might look generic from that point of view, this is an example of a hybrid rhino that one of our concept artists really works on. You can see his jetpack, and the idea is that they'll be very incredibly personalized, and they'll have their own identity and their own story.
He's a space monkey.
Yeah, he's a space monkey.
Nice.
He's from the Space Monkey faction for sure. And many of these characters will be what we call our legendary characters, who are some of the characters that we'll be able to meet and recruit as we move through the universe, and recruit them as much for what they're going to bring to us from an intimate and human point of view, or hybrid in the case, as they will in terms of whether or not they can help us to use a brand new engine that we couldn't run until we had that specific skill that comes from this specific guy that we went to the ends of the universe to find. So very much trying to tie in the gameplay and the way that we progress through the game to story, and very highly characterized and cool characters.
And again, it's very interesting to imagine that you, for example, Nox. Hi, Nox, just behind me. You meet him in the game, and one thing that can happen in the game is at some point he's in a bad mood, things are going bad, and you discover that his grandparents died, and you have to go on his planet, and there is this connection because of this DNA system. We can have the parents and grandparents of the character. So it's not just characters with just what they are today, it's what they were, where they're coming from, and how you travel through the world, discover his village, and go through the story with this system that is really based on those DNA ingredients and that connects generations and places, and it allows us to build stories with not just what's happening today or cinematics, but the real story that can happen into the game.
Okay, well, we've talked a lot about hybrids now. How about the other subject that people are really excited about, are ships? So we have, we did a post with the merchant mothership. There she is.
Here she blows.
Got a lot of really positive, great feedback on this concept art, and so we have another little video for you guys to show you how we're gonna get around in System 3.
Sorry, we were talking about something else. We were talking about how to get around. So the way we want to get around and discover all these stories is obviously through spaceships. And that's being one of the big fantasies is what are our vehicles going to look like? What are our spaceships going to look like? What kind of variety are we going to have? Can we customize them? So we're going to talk a little bit about what you guys just saw, which is just a little portion of the types of vehicles and combinations that we'll be able to do in the game.
The very interesting thing here is that it's not just about visual, but it's also about characteristic. You know, everything is about gameplay. The different shapes, the impact, how resistant, how fast, how you can, move. So all the characteristics have representations. Some are just for fun sometimes, and you can of course customize. You can create your faction, your pirate flag, all these things. Play with friends with all these, customized ships. Have the same one or different ones. You can also have when you play with friends, they can follow you automatically, so you can have a discussion.
Like a fleet, fly together in Armada
you can
format.
create a fleet like four players. One is directing the fleet, and the other are just discussing, looking around.
You can have your own collection of ships. It just
which is very important because you have this massive mothership, which is your flying house.
Flying home, exactly.
Flying home.
Like we're in our flying home.
Yeah. So what you've got into the ship is your crew, which we have seen some of the potential crew members you could have, but also your spaceships you designed, you get, and so when you're arriving into a new galaxy, a new place, you can use those ships you've brought from different places.
And depending on the activities that you want to have in the game, you choose different spaceships, right?
That's right.
Usually you get around the city with your big spaceship, but when you want to go like sneaky into the streets to be unnoticed, then you take your small space tuk-tuk, going a bit slow but very quiet. And
remember, you have to put space in front of everything. Space tuk-tuk, spaceship.
And you can even steal some of the ships within the game, within the city, to be even more under the cover.
Right, unless you get caught skyjacking, in which case
you're
in trouble.
The space police is going to be after you.
Because pirates are about this. It's about the ships, the spaceships, but also the crew. There is a connection between the two. You will need a specific, maybe a character from a specific place that is able to understand the technology behind a spaceship or part of a spaceship. Is
the expertise and the know-how.
Exactly. So maybe you will have to, and through the story, you can discover this kind of character. Person, and that will help you using this old engine that nobody knows how to use it, and it's connecting the story and the spaceship, the connection
between the gameplay and the real
and the
story
captain
elements.
who you are the space captain, because you are not multiple person, you are a unique character, but you have a crew and you have the spaceship. That's really the three pillars of the game.
The triumvirate, as you guys like to call it.
Yeah.
And this supports the message of the game, which is the real truth, the real treasure lies in others, and that's because I meet you.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. That's because I have these kind of guys in my crew, then I can operate the ship better and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So it's not mechanical. It really is about encountering characters that are going to help you on your way and through your journey.
So we've talked about characters, hybrids, vessels, vehicles. What's happening? What are you guys working on now in production?
Well,
team?
So
what are you up to?
Yeah. So very quickly, first, since E3, the team almost tripled in size. So we had very good reception at E3, and we received many applications. Thanks everyone for your applications. So the team grew.
Some Space Monkeys?
Space Monkeys are welcome. Send us your resumes. So the team grew, so that's good because we need more and more people to make the thing happen, and that's what right now the focus is to have more people embark on the journey. And the big focus actually today is the city that you see behind. I don't know if we can see it on screen. It's behind us.
It's kind of hidden in the corner, but it's Ganesha City from the trailer.
So the main focus of everybody on the team is to actually build a real vibrant, living city that you can explore.
Yeah, that's the big thing, because the city it's a place where the stories, you know, the important stories will take place. You have seen the trailer, you know, there is this little bar, the Chinese character, the mafia guy, you know, trading stuff like a treasure map. All these things are happening in this huge city.
The space treasure map.
Yeah, and the very important thing is that you can play from this bar, getting out of it, going into the tuk-tuk, jumping onto a bigger spaceship in a seamless way. That's the tech behind the game. You know, there is no loading, no transitions. Everything happens, you know, in the same place. From a teeny place, you know, taking your cup of tea, and down to driving into space, you
like
know, with your giant
exactly.
mothership.
Xing Xing in his tea shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we really believed that, okay, we have now the ability to create many characters, many spaceships, but the big thing is, and we have planets also that we already shown, but now the big thing is a huge city that is not a procedural city or something like that. You know, it has the main monument, every characters inside of the city have an activity and history. So we want the player to feel that everything is connected.
Yep.
Again, and the city
is a character in and of itself too.
Exactly. That's why it was very interesting to discuss about the city with the Space Monkeys, you know, about what kind of cities, what kind of traditions, religions, origins, you know, all these things, so that when we create another city, we have real inspirations, real deep, you know, cultural ingredients for that, not just basic procedural stuff.
Yeah, and in fact, to that point, we really want to thank all of there are people from India who gave us tons of feedback, very encouraging. They loved what they saw. They made sure our Sanskrit was correct, and some of us told us that the rotation was going in the wrong way. But beyond that, I think that they were pretty.
But
they were
keep
pretty
saying
happy.
that. I mean, keep giving us this
exactly.
feedback.
We depend on you guys to tell us when.
We will fix that.
Absolutely. But we did get a tremendous, lots of warmth from you guys, and also really pointed comments about what your culture is all about, and the stories, and even more inspiration, so that we take that even further. So please continue to give that kind of feedback to us. We're grateful.
Yes, something that we didn't mention it in the beginning of the Twitch, but what we're doing here, this Twitch, the Space Monkey program, this will to get you, the fans, the Space Monkeys, on board. That's something new for us. It's not something that we've done before. It's something that we really deeply think is the right way to develop this game. But we're taking kind of a leap of faith in here. So it's very important for us to keep on getting your support.
Yeah, exactly.
You can comment on Kevin's hat, for example. Everything, you know.
We will fix
colors.
it as well, and that's.
We'll try and fix it all.
Well, I think that's about it for the update, and now we have some questions from the Space Monkeys. We have a question from Legion 495 from the forums. Did you always want to do a prequel?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, of course no. The first idea with Beyond Good and Evil was to make three games, a trilogy. But when we started thinking about doing the next game, we thought that the world of Beyond Good and Evil was so big, so dense, you know, that it would be a shame not to talk about it. Talk about the origins, where the hybrids are coming from, what is System 4, you know, this planet. Who is Jade? You know, this is Jade, for the one who knows Beyond Good and Evil, she's very, very mysterious. She's got a dark side.
No spoiling.
We want to go deeper into all these things. There are pirates in Beyond Good and Evil 1. They are very mysterious. So now we are going to develop all these characters, story, and we will continue going through the episodes, you know, and through the story of this world. But first, we wanted to go back to the roots.
Okay. Question from actually quite a few people. Will we have an AI like Segundo from Beyond Good and Evil?
This is an interesting question. Segundo was a real character, you know. He was an AI character, but he was kind of existing into the game. Here we want something a bit different. We want the crew member, you know, the what we call the officers. They are real characters you will meet during your journey. Like in Beyond Good and Evil, you are with Paige or Double H. You know, these characters you meet them, you have a story with them. So we don't want to have characters that you are forced to do your journey with. So today we don't think we will use such an AI because we prefer the player to meet, you know, important characters, because now we have this ability to have many of those, you know, encounters to be in your big spaceship and to be part of the adventure. So we are more, I would say, a bit less digital and a bit more biological, you know.
Okay. Speaking of biological, are there female hybrids?
Yes, absolutely.
Question from several people,
yeah,
actually.
in fact, we prepared just a couple of tests that we've done most recently for those fans of the first Beyond Good and Evil. There's one who they both evoke a little bit May, for anyone who remembers the hybrid cat that we have, who was one of my favorite characters from the original. So these are just two examples of, again, when we saw that you guys wanted to make sure that we were working on females as well as male hybrid characters and females and males in general. So be reassured, there will definitely be females. There will definitely be female hybrids, and these are just two tests that we worked on recently.
And you will even have, you know, transgenre characters. So we want to be very open to diversity and many things.
We actually released one concept for.
For the Space Monkeys, there was a character that was like between human, between animal, between male, between female, between Asian, between European. Why not?
We are all coming from hybrid.
We are all coming from the same shape,
from the same mold.
That's right. We're all DNA.
Question from Cultural Lemur, also from the forums. Will there be more than one flavor of K-Bups in BGE2?
Never. No, it's like ketchup. They try to.
Oh, there is green ketchup.
Yeah, but it's a shame. Green ketchup, you know, it's like, I don't know, it's like pink ketchup.
So it says strawberry, but it tastes like ketchup. Is that what you're saying?
No, K-Bups. There is one taste, and I don't want to hear anything more about this subject. You know, it's K-Bups. It's one pure.
And it's a secret recipe, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
No more questions about K-Bups.
No.
He's very sensitive about K-Bups.
Yeah, I have to drink now. Yeah. I'm stressed. I don't know what's inside of it.
It's flavored K-Bups.
It's really old.
Oh, these are risky.
Will there be a traditional story like the first game, or will players be creating the story amongst themselves? I think you kind of touched upon that, but that's a question from P45 key for NT5.
Whoops. That was hard to pronounce. Say that 5 times fast.
Thank you for that username. I appreciate it.
Can you repeat the question?
Will it be a traditional story like the first game, or will players be creating the story amongst themselves? So touching more upon...
Yeah. So Michel, he definitely touched on that. I think there's also since we really want to play this game cooperatively, so we have be able to play with friends at the same time. So there will be part of the stories that you will, in a sense, be constructing yourselves, among yourselves, because the player stories, the stories that you live out with your friends, are stories that you're telling yourselves as you discover and explore the world. So there'll definitely be that aspect of creating the story as you go through the story, especially when you're with your friends. And then Michel said earlier that we do want to make sure that there's lots of story, maybe not exactly in traditional sense. It's hard to put an exact word on that. But yes, there'll be stories that have beginnings, middle, and end, and that will be emotional and strong characters.
It's very important to say that you can play offline if you want. You will be able to have this feeling of living a story with characters, places.
Right. You can play solo for sure.
So that's the basic thing, you know. But we want to invite people to play with friends on top of that. Mm-hmm. You know, like, hey, I could do this.
You can play solo.
Yeah. I could go in this spaceship cemetery, which is very a difficult part of the game, but I could invite a friend to go there with my friend. I will share the GPS coordinate, you know. the space coordinate, we will meet into this giant cemetery, and we will have a play session into this giant cemetery. But if I want to play solo, my own adventure, you can. So you can play the BGN1 style, or you can play or another type of
It's not or, it's
experience.
and as well.
There's no, we don't want to create a barrier, and we don't want to force people to go online. It's just we invite them to try that. They're not forced, but it's so fun.
Okay. Question from Irvin Gallied. Will the hybrids have personalities matching the animal part in them? For example, lion hybrids being proud.
That's a really interesting question that we've been asking ourselves a lot. Like how important it is that we refer to an animal's true instincts, and how, if we were going to use these characters in different ways in the world, whether or not they would actually, it would make sense to say that, well, you'd probably use the world's biggest predator, which is a tiger, to hunt down other slaves, escaped slaves, for instance. It's one form of logic. It's not definitive. It's things that we've been asking ourselves as we go through. There was some really cool comments about people who wanted to make sure that we gave sharks appropriate treatment, as opposed to just considering them as, you know, the traditional dead-eyed, really dark, evil Jaws type character. And that made us, we had a long discussion about that, because we wanted to make sure that, yeah, they get a fair deal too. So maybe the corporations will use them like attack dogs, and they're scary. I mean, naturally scary animals, but then you'll see them as a pirate when they're freed, and then they could be their own freewheeling, you know, rock and roll self. So we definitely want to stigmatize animals based on their natural instincts, but it does make sense that if you're going to create hybrids, then you're probably going to use what they do best. So strong rhinos are going to be carrying big, you know, machine bundles.
But it's interesting, as you mentioned, it to create surprises.
Exactly.
Not just to be
do the contrast as well.
one, you know, to what we think animals are, because they're more complex than what we think. But because we have this DNA system, this DNA technology, you can say that there is a part of this animal that is human, you know, or maybe it's coming from another animal.
Right.
So we can mix that to create more, you know, sensible things.
Yeah, the tiger might be a pussycat. I mean, literally. Meow.
Nice sound.
Thank you. What else do we have here? Is the Mamago garage theme song coming back? From Drakenzad.
For sure, we're definitely working with Christophe.
Yeah, Christophe Herald, the composer, is still on the project. He's on the project. He loves the Beyond Good and Evil world. You know, he did that song with his brother, who's you know,
drummer, percussionist.
Drummer, you know, guy. And I remember when we did that song with the guy who was recording the voice from the Mamago. During the recording session, he started to sing, and we said, "Yeah, we are recording this song." You know, the voice, and then we did the music based on this improv. So it was very funny. But yes, this spirit.
So it was all improv.
Yeah, it was an improv. Yeah, like almost everything we are doing, you know, on this game.
And it's confirmed that Mamago is in the garage.
Okay, not quite.
A lot of things.
A lot of improv
Like the Space Monkey
and a lot of
program.
sweat and blood.
And
Spontaneity.
Exactly, spontaneity.
this is a good closing question. How can we contribute to game development? From Waki Z.
Good question.
This is a very interesting question. We are working hard, and Guillaume is working very hard on finding ways to have the community being able to participate, not just on the website, but with also being able to create content for the game, and that would be into the game. And there are many things that are possible. We are not going to talk to this too much today, but he's traveling around the world, you know, with big business people and all these things, so that we can find a fair way of, you know, collaborating with the fans, with artists, musicians, drawing people and all that. So it's the next steps. You know, it's part of the thing we are that is moving us. You know, that's a big thing.
It's a concept that's close to our hearts, but we don't want to get into too much detail today because we're working.
But I mean, to answer directly to that question, right now, continue to feed us like you did over the past few months. That I hope that this got through, right, during this session. We are using that. We are using your inspiration, your references, everything. We really read through that and take it into account. So continue doing that. Tell your friends to do that. The more people, the better. And then for the next step, yes, we are working on the next steps, but we're not ready to announce it yet.
I think that's a good call to action for people who haven't yet signed up to be Space Monkeys. Go to bggame.com.
Yes.
bggame.com.
bggame.com. bggame.com. That's bggame.com, Michel? That's the place?
That's the place to be.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Keep it up.
everyone.
Big bravo to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks, and thank you
Thanks
for
tuning
everybody
in.
who set up the.
Yes, and thanks to everyone that helped
Yes.
us make this first live Twitch with not too many dead people happen.
Almost with the falling.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you all soon. Woo!
Ugh.